You spend $2,000 on a television. The panel is a miracle. 10 million self-lit pixels. Perfect black. Color tuned in a lab by engineers who care about a single frame more than you ever will. And then you press the power button. And you wait. You watch a spinning ring. You watch a home screen crawl into focus, half of it covered in ads for shows you'll never watch. You tap an arrow on the remote, and a quarter second later, the cursor moves. You paid a fortune for this. And it's clearly working hard. The question that should bother you is, working hard for who? Because here's the contradiction. The display in front of you is competing with a movie theater. But the computer driving it costs about as much as a disposable phone, and it's running on a processor architecture that smartphones abandoned years ago. A flagship phone in your pocket runs a 5-nanometer chip. The brain inside that gorgeous TV, often a 12, sometimes a 28-nanometer part, built on CPU cores the mobile industry left behind a generation or two back. So the obvious explanation is, they got cheap. They cut corners on the chip to make the panel affordable. That's not wrong, but it's not the real answer either, because the slowness isn't an accident of cost. The slowness is a feature of the business model. To understand why your television treats you like this, you have to stop thinking of it as a TV. Start thinking of it as a computer that was built backwards, where every dollar that should have gone to making it fast went somewhere else first. So let's open it up and follow the money. A modern TV is two products fighting over one budget. The first product is the panel. That's the part the manufacturer wants you to fall in love with on the showroom floor. The brightness, the contrast, the spec sheet you brag about. The panel is where the marketing budget lives, and where most of the bill of materials goes. The second product is the computer that drives it, the system on a chip. The CPU, the GPU, the memory controller, the video decoder, all fused onto one piece of silicon. And in the priority list of building a TV, this is the part that gets whatever is left over. Think about what that means. The panel sets the price ceiling. The marketing sets the expectation. And the brain, the thing that actually decides whether the interface feels alive or feels like wading through wet sand, is the line item they squeeze last. Now compare it to the computer you already trust, your phone. Your phone runs a chip that is, frankly, one of the most advanced consumer products humanity makes. Leading mobile parts use cutting-edge architectures and the smallest manufacturing process money can buy, because the entire phone industry is a knife fight over benchmarks. Phones get faster every single year because people compare them every single year. Nobody benchmarks a television. Nobody walks into a store and asks how many milliseconds it takes the menu to open. So the chip inside never had to win that fight. It runs older, slower CPU cores on a cheaper, larger manufacturing process. Silicon that would be considered ancient in a phone, quietly soldered behind a panel that's bragging about being state-of-the-art. And here's where it gets worse. Because that weak little chip isn't even allowed to focus on the one job you bought it for. Sitting on top of that hardware is the operating system. WebOS on an LG, Tizen on a Samsung, Google's TV platform on half the rest. And these are not lightweight remote controls for a screen. They are full smart device operating systems, app stores, account systems, recommendation engines, voice assistants, and an entire layer of telemetry running constantly in the background. That telemetry is not free. Every service that phones home, every recommendation that gets computed, every piece of usage it logs and uploads, all of it steals cycles from a processor that barely had enough to spare in the first place. So picture the actual machine you own. A panel engineered to perfection, married to a processor a phone would be embarrassed by, running an operating system heavy enough to choke it. And a big chunk of that processor's effort is spent not on showing you a picture, but on watching you. Which raises the obvious question, why? Why would a company ship a flagship panel and then strangle it with a bargain bin computer running heavy software? Hold on to that question, because the answer is the whole reason you're here. Why would anyone spend real money on a beautiful screen and then deliberately choke it with a chip that costs them almost nothing? It doesn't make sense as engineering. It only makes sense once you see who the TV is actually working for, because the slow software isn't the cost of the business. The slow software is the business. Let me show you the number that explains everything. Television manufacturers in this market are not really making money selling you the television. Some of the biggest players sell their TV hardware at a loss. Margins in the negative single digits. They lose money on the box, and yet the business is profitable. For one major brand, the profit from advertising, subscriptions, and data is now more than double the profit it makes from selling the actual screens. Read that again. The screen is the loss leader. You are not the customer. You are the inventory. So how does a television generate twice as much profit from data as it does from being a television? You have to meet the technology with the friendliest possible name and the most invasive possible job. It's called ACR, Automatic Content Recognition. Here's how ACR works. Many smart TVs take rapid snapshots of what's on the screen, fingerprints of the image, and match them against a giant database to identify exactly what you're watching. Not just which app, the specific show, the specific ad, the specific scene. And it does not care where the picture came from. Streaming app, cable box, a game console plugged into HDMI, a thumb drive of your own home videos. If it's on the panel, it can be fingerprinted. The TV isn't just watching what it serves you, it's watching what you bring to it. This is the process quietly stealing cycles from that already overworked chip, capturing frames, hashing them, packaging them, uploading them over and over all day in the background on a processor that struggles to open a menu. The thing making your TV slow and the thing making your TV money are the exact same process. And this isn't a fringe conspiracy. This is documented and it's been litigated. In 2017, the FTC and the state of New Jersey settled with a major manufacturer over exactly this. The finding: its TVs had been capturing viewing data second by second on around 11 million televisions, collecting on the order of 100 billion data points a day, with the tracking turned on by default, without meaningful consent. The settlement was $2.2 million. Sit with that ratio. $2.2 million to settle the surveillance of 11 million homes. That's not a punishment. That's a parking ticket. That's the cost of doing business written directly into the business plan. And before you tell yourself that was 2017, that they cleaned it up, that this is old news, it isn't. This is happening right now. In December of 2025, the Attorney General of Texas didn't sue one company. He sued 5 at once. Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, and TCL, all of them accused of the same kind of content fingerprinting the lawsuit describes. Samsung settled in February of 2026, just a few months ago. The cases against the other 4 are still active as this goes out. Look at that list again. The brands being sued aren't one company that got greedy. According to the state of Texas, it's nearly all of them. This isn't a scandal from the history books. It's an allegation being argued in a courtroom right now against almost the entire industry. And once you see the TV as an advertising machine, the remote control stops looking like an accident. Look down at your remote. There's a button for one streaming service, a button for another, a button for one you've never opened in your life and never will. You can't remove them. You didn't ask for them. Those buttons are sold. The home screen real estate is sold. The default apps you can't uninstall are there because of deals. Pay-for-placement agreements baked into the firmware before the box ever reached the warehouse. Every glowing tile and dedicated button is a billboard you paid to host in your own living room. That's the deep trade. You thought you bought a window to the cinema. What you actually bought is a billboard, and you're the one paying the electricity to keep it lit. So if the surveillance and the advertising are the cause of the slowness, the fix becomes almost insultingly simple. If the intelligence is what's broken, take the intelligence away. The single most effective thing you can do to your television is treat it as what it does well and nothing more. It is, underneath all that software, a genuinely spectacular panel. So use it as a panel, a dumb monitor, a pane of glass. Step 1, disconnect it from the internet. Skip the Wi-Fi setup, or go into the network settings and forget the network entirely. The moment the TV can't phone home, the ACR fingerprinting has nowhere to send its data. The constant background uploads stop. The telemetry stops. And here's the part people don't expect. The interface often gets faster because the chip is no longer wasting its meager budget spying on you. A disconnected smart TV isn't a crippled TV. It's a TV finally doing one job. Step 2, give the intelligence to a device that's actually good at it, a small external box. A streaming player or a mini PC built around a chip that was designed to be fast, running software whose customer is genuinely you. Plug it into the HDMI port and let it do the thinking. Its processor will run circles around the one baked into the panel, because that's the product it was actually built to be. You end up with the machine you thought you were buying in the first place. A world-class display fed by a fast modern computer with no surveillance layer skimming off the top. The panel does what panels do. The box does what computers do. Nobody is fingerprinting your HDMI input to sell to 100 ad partners. And there's a quiet irony in all of it. The way to get the most out of the smartest TV ever made is to make it dumb, to strip the smart off the smart TV and hand it back to a device that earns the word. This is the thing worth sitting with. The smart TV is the purest example of a disease that's spreading through everything we own. We have the best hardware in human history, panels that were science fiction a decade ago. And we keep strangling it with software that was never written to serve the person who paid for it. The picture on your wall isn't slow because the engineers couldn't make it fast. It's slow because somewhere in a spreadsheet, your attention was worth more than your experience. You spent $2,000 and the machine you brought home went to work for someone else. The bloat isn't a bug they'll patch. The bloat is the product, and you were the raw material. And once you start seeing software through the lens of who is actually paying for this, you can't stop. Because the same economic pressure that turns your TV into a billboard is squeezing the people who write the code the entire internet runs on. Open source maintainers working for free until the money runs out and someone makes a desperate decision. A license rug pull, a quiet sale, a trapdoor in a project millions of people trusted. That's the story and why you can't trust open source anymore. What happens when the software you depend on has no honest way to get paid? Links in the description. Because the pattern is always the same, follow the money, and the bloat starts to make perfect sense.